Okay, I'm real excited about telling you this point. I just don't want to give a false impression. Father Mitch Pack was a very famous priest. He's on EWTN. We had a personal relationship. He was baptized in my parish church. He was a spiritual director of mine in my 20s. I can't even imagine that task. And he speaks Aramaic, Greek, Latin. He's just a proficient language scholar, and he takes tours to the Holy Land. Well, one year, 30 years ago, we were in Detroit. He was at a Marian conference, and he said this, and there's a lot of qualifications, and it applies to you getting to Mass early today, an hour early. He said, and not to be presumptuous, again, I'm walking on a tightrope. He says, you're probably all going to heaven. That's what he said. You're probably all going to heaven. Think about that for 1 second. Not like the false Catholics who presume that whatever I do from this day forward doesn't matter and God's not going to take account of it. The fact that you're doing what you're doing right now, and you continue to do so and persevere in it, you're going to go to heaven. It's a beautiful thought. Catholic Mass is an already down payment of heaven. And you're here to celebrate that. Okay, that's point number one. Here's the homily. I'm thinking about someone on the edge, on the fence, who wants to come into the church. Someone you and I may know, who we're looking for words. We're looking for some kind of testimony. How do I get somebody on the fence or is falling over on the other side of the fence back in the tent? Good question. And we should all be asking it in some way or some way, shape, or form. So I'm going to try a very quick answer. Yes, I want to move this thing. I want to move as fast as I possibly can. Because I love you. I love you. Someone in the back said, people would pay extra for me to talk less. Stop laughing. I do have feelings. Okay, I just lied. I don't. And you know what Father Simon's doing right now, don't you? Sleeping. And it doesn't aggravate me at all. Okay, so it's true. It's all true. So someone doesn't know God, or someone doesn't go to church with us. Start with this: the most quoted line in the Bible. We'll call him Johnny Sixpack. Hey, Johnny Sixpack, do you know that God so loved the world? What does that mean? That our God lives, and I know it's faith, I know it takes grace, I know it takes humility, vulnerability, willingness, and being open. But if there's ever that moment, you start with, our God is a God of love. The creator of the universe exists in a perfect relationship of persons, a triune community of love, who exists in his essence perfectly, totally content, and in no need of anything else. That's our God. That's who we worship. This God of ours decided out of no other reason but generosity. Be clear why you're here. You're not here because God needs you. You're here because you're just an outburst of generosity from a loving God. And watching the sun come up today with the sky. And then someone told me about how the earth spins, and I'm just like, I don't know anything about science. I don't do math. But I know God gave us this. Why are we changing the clocks anyway? Because some scientist goes, it'll serve your needs better looking at these relationships. Let's change it I don't even know what it changes. Twice a year? Yeah, you don't know, Greg. You don't know. Greg did one of those fake nods. Like, thanks a lot, Greg. What if your Google machine did that? How do you spell, extracapsulofangelistic? Okay, so God is love, first of all. That's the first huge concept we got to communicate to people. The fall-away Catholics did us such a disservice, and some of the older Catholics who still go to Mass, who tell horror stories about the nuns, they did a really horrible disservice to the guy on the fence or the person who fell off the other side of the fence. Our God is love. He doesn't wait for you to sin to spring a trap door to send you into a fiery pit. That's not our God. Point number one. He loves us. And he gave us all this. He gave us a soul. He gave us an appetite for him. Okay, so that's God. And he made us. I know I feel this way about myself. I'd love you to feel this way about yourself. We're awesome. We are. I know a lot of you people. You do a lot of good work. You give out of not just your surplus, but out of your need. There's so much loving, giving, serving. So we were made in His image and likeness. What a beautiful thing. God loved us so much. When people, the scientists, want to talk about coming from apes, I don't know if we came from apes or not, but personally, it's a far more beautiful story that God took clay, formed our bodily material parts, and then He breathed His Spirit into us. Because I want to go on to tell this person on the fence, not only is God love, you were made from God. Not the same parts, but you were made by a loving God, and your presence is being loved by God unconditionally at all times. And you have a mission in this life. There's a mission. What do I got to do? Stay close to God. Stay close to God. Did you hear what it said in the Bible, if you read this closely? Those who don't believe are already condemned. I don't know if they're going to hell. I didn't read that in this. I heard what it said. They were condemned. I didn't read that they're going to hell. I read, which I experience every day, people who don't worship with us, people who do not worship in general, people who do not believe particularly, they got much harder lives. Much harder lives. In some ways, they're already condemned because they have a much harder life. We all have the same troubles in life, ultimately. Sometimes more. We're all going to have some troubles. We're all going to die. Someone we love is going to die. Someone's going to malign you. There's going to be a misunderstanding. There's going to be someone you're going to need to forgive. What do people do without God? God is the easier way. God is the easier way. After I started to go backwards with my earth spinning around my sun, to not believe in God, it takes a lot more faith than to just accept God made all this out of love because He loves us and He made us. And we got 2 more points. And what happened? We disappointed God. Our first parents disappointed God. They disobeyed. And our great God, what makes Christianity so unique, so original, so beautiful, God did not give up on us. God does not give up on us. Our God is a faithful God. They've been testifying for 3,000 years, and I'm still testifying, and your presence here still testifies. God is faithful. So what did He do? He sent His Son as a rescue mission, on a rescue mission. He said, look, listen to Him, not Buddha. Buddha's great. I like Buddha guy. What a gig. Sorry, small tangent. I can't help myself. What a gig. Here's a very overweight gentleman telling everybody else to fast. Good move, Buddha. That was very clever, wasn't it? You guys need to fast and carry around a begging bowl. Well, what about you? You just had 2 Big Macs. I'm the Buddha. Anyway, you didn't. That's all right. I got it. So Jesus is the one to follow. I brought up Gandhi as a religious figure, and a fellow from India stopped me years ago and says, Father, I don't do my Indian accent, it'll offend somebody. Anyway, he said, Father, you have to be clear, Gandhi was never a religious figure. He was a political figure. I said, great point. Gandhi's not even in the running here. Who do we got left? It's Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. He's the center point. He's the focal point. He's the mediator. And He comes so we can have life. And have it to the full. So what do? We stay close to Jesus. And we wake up to our purpose in life, which is staying close to Jesus and staying enough with Him, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, that He takes us right back to heaven. So let's conclude this homily. I came from love. I'm going to love by God's grace. And I have great confidence that the mission and reason for why I'm here, besides getting back to heaven, is to love other people. And let's ask God, the Holy Spirit, to help us at this Mass as we go forward to love God, to love ourselves in a healthy, authentic way, and to give us the strength to help us love others.